DistressedPro.com, and I wanted to record just a quick 2-minute video here for my friend Russell Lindbergh out at Pacific Northwest Investments, and not just for him, but for a lot of people who've been asking me, well, how am I going to use Bank Prospector to find banks that have been selling loans? And so I want to show you that right now. So here's the home page where we're at. First thing I want to do is show you the key that you're supposed to be looking at. Okay, so if we go to Bank of America, and I'm not suggesting that you're going to go prospect Bank of America this way. What I am suggesting is that they have sold loans, so I know that they're going to have a positive number that I can show you. So they're based out of Charlotte. And when we come here, we can see, I'm going to show you right down here, this non-accrual sold. Okay, so non-accrual sold is, this is actually the non-accrual sold in the previous quarter. So right here, what they put is all of the total of the non-accrual assets. And if you don't know, the way that loans go, they go 30 to 89 days late, then 90 plus days late and still accruing, and then they move into non-accrual. And non-accrual means that there's no hope of those loans being repaid according to terms. And so what we're looking at here, non-accrual sold, is loans that were in the non-accrual status that were sold last quarter. And what I'm here to tell you is that banks that sold non-accrual in the previous quarter, so therefore we know that they have a process in place to do this, to sell non-accrual, which is also non-performing loans. These are most likely the banks that are most likely to sell because they have a process in place where they're used to doing this. Now, this doesn't mean that these are the only banks that are selling loans. What this means is that we know for a fact that last quarter they sold non-accrual, the worst of their non-performing loans. So up here in the top you'll see search. We should really rename this to advanced search, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And what this does is it's going to bring you to a place where you can set certain criteria. Now there are instructions down here, and I want you to read these if you've never used it because it's going to give you an indication. I'm not going to read all this for you now. Instead, I'm just going to go right to our criteria. But the way it works is this. There's some 90 some odd criteria through here that you can choose if you're looking for banks with REO or banks with loss share agreements or whatever. But I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to look for banks with non-accrual assets sold. And that's non-accrual assets sold during the quarter. So over here, I'm going to put a dollar amount. And I'm going to say that I'm looking for any banks that sold at least $1. So $1 plus of non-accrual assets. I'm going to add that as a criteria. I'm not going to restrict it by location. I'm not going to do any other restrictions. I'm just going to do non-accrual assets sold. I'm going to click Submit Search. And now I'm going to have a list. If I want to click on any of these or add them to a watch list, I can do that, and then I can go to these banks, and I know that this list of banks, and I can scroll through more banks down here, I know that this list of banks has all sold non-accrual assets in the last quarter. Again, this doesn't mean that these are the only banks that sold any assets. This is the banks that had assets in non-accrual status and they sold last quarter. Thanks very much.